They said we were extinct. Irrelevant. Crushed under their boots a generation ago. So when they came to wipe us out, again, they brought everything. 100 ships. 500,000 soldiers. One smug admiral. And no idea what we'd become. You want to know what happened? The alien trembled before his council, twitching under phantom fire. We outnumbered them 100 to 1, and it didn't matter. They came in formation, perfect, geometric, sterile. 100 Vexery warships, stretching across the void like the arms of some divine tribunal. Their dreadnought, Obedience, cast a shadow across the surface of Gathery 6. It wasn't a battle group, it was a statement. Commander Riker Thorne didn't flinch. He sat in his rusted chair, a half-burned cigar stuck between his teeth, reviewing the incoming signatures like someone checking his dinner reservations. "They're early," he muttered, tapping the screen. "Eager little bastards." A red light blinked. Comms opened. The voice on the other end was smug, metallic, too clean to be real. "I am Admiral Rovak of the Vexery Dominion. You are harboring an illegal human enclave in violation of Article 13 of the Galactic Order. Surrender immediately." Thorne yawned into the mic. "You done? Repeat, this is your final opportunity to submit. You brought 100 ships to hunt me?" Thorne grinned. "What, you run out of planets to terrorize? Non-compliance will result in total eradication." "Cute." Thorne cut the feed. Behind him, his second-in-command, one-eyed, tattooed, and missing 2 fingers, asked, "You sure this is a good idea?" "Nope," Thorne said, rising. "But it's going to be a fun one." They called it the last human stronghold, but it wasn't much, just a twisted scrap heap orbiting a dead world. No shields. No fleet. No reinforcements. That's what Rovak saw. And it's exactly what Thorne wanted him to see. The Vexery's ships began descending. Scans showed landing craft, plasma batteries charging, troops preparing to drop. "Activate the choir," Thorne ordered. A switch flipped. Across the void, Vexery comms picked up a sound, distant, soft at first, then unmistakable. Children singing. Off-key. In ancient Terran English. "Ring around the rosy." Rovak's bridge crew stiffened. One officer hissed, "There's no source. The transmission isn't from the planet." "Audio interference," Rovak said. "Ignore it. Pocket full of posies." Thorne leaned forward, eyes locked on the feed. "Let the games begin." 3 boarding shuttles launched from Obedience. Each carried 100 elite Vexery soldiers. Armor-clad. Expressionless. Unbreakable. They breached the outer ring of the human structure. No resistance. Just silence. Then static. Then laughter. Not human laughter. Not entirely. Twisted, glitched, interlaced with words in Vexery dialects. Names. Commands. Forbidden phrases. Within minutes, the first boarding team's vitals flatlined. Rovak demanded a feed. The transmission opened. What he saw wasn't combat, it was performance. The soldiers stood frozen, guns down, eyes wide. All facing a single wall. Carved into it in blood were the words, "We're not dead. We're waiting." One soldier screamed and shot his own head off. Another slit his throat, mumbling a human lullaby. Rovak slammed his fist down. "Send all units. Now." Thorne watched from his station, arms crossed. "Still no fleet movement?" his officer asked. "Not a shot fired," Thorne replied. "Think they'll figure it out?" "They can't. Logic is their religion. Chaos is our home court." More shuttles launched. Dozens. Hundreds of soldiers poured into the station. Each found something different. Some saw their families, Vexery images of dead kin, projected in impossible detail. Some heard screams in their own voice. Some walked into corridors filled with mirrors, every reflection slightly off, smiling when they weren't. One group opened a sealed door marked, "Do not enter," in human glyphs. Inside was a single chair. In it sat a Vexery corpse wearing a human face. Its eyes blinked, then burned. At the command center, Rovak's comms buzzed. Sir, our second cruiser reports internal sabotage. Commanders are refusing orders, claiming hallucinations. Some have turned weapons on their own crews. Rovak bared his fangs. Kill anyone who disobeys. Purge the systems. Erase all human data. Sir, it's not in the systems. It's in the network. Spread through passive data links. Rovak paused. You mean? It's cultural. Back on Thorn's bridge, his crew laughed as they watched Vexori's ships begin drifting, colliding, panicking. You know what I love about zealots? Thorn said. They're allergic to doubt. Another officer chimed in. Second Fleet Wing just opened fire on itself. Keep the signal going, Thorn ordered. Phase 2. Swap the chorus. A new sound rolled out. A human voice, female, soft, gentle, whispered in perfect Vexori dialect. You feel it, don't you? The rot. The weakness. The cracks in your holy order. On the Obedience, the bridge erupted in chaos. One officer threw himself into the power core. Another tried to strangle Rovak before being shot. Alarms blared. We're under attack, by ourselves. Rovak grabbed the command chair, screaming. Who is he? The response came not from his crew, but from every screen on his ship, all at once. A feed activated. It showed Riker Thorn sitting in a cold room, sipping from a metal cup. Hey Rovak, he said. Guess what? This isn't a base. It's a stage. You, Rovak hissed. You're not defending. Nope. Just broadcasting. Welcome to the show. A pause. Why? Rovak demanded. You brought 100 ships, Thorn said. But I brought a mirror. The feed ended. Lights flickered. Obedience went dark. Silence. Until a child's voice whispered over the ship's internal systems. Peekaboo. Rovak stood frozen as his own fleet fell apart. Ships spiraling. Officers abandoning posts. Cultures unraveling under a storm of weaponized humanity. It wasn't a battle. It was a message. And the Dominion had received it. Back on the human station, Thorn turned to his crew. Prep the beacon. Send the footage to the galaxy. All of it? The tech asked. Every last minute. And the tagline? Thorn grinned. Just one line. What line? He leaned in, voice low. We outnumbered them 100 to 1. Didn't matter. The room fell into satisfied silence. And the stars, once full of order, began to crack. The Vexori boarding parties never returned. Not a whisper, not a scream, not even a final burst of static. Just silence. That made the second wave nervous. Not outwardly, Vexori didn't show fear. But the tension in their movements, the slight hesitations before stepping off their shuttles, the delays and calm acknowledgments, it was all there. The Dominion trained them to be precise. But nothing in their manuals prepared them for vanishing into nothing. Admiral Rovak stood at the center of the bridge on Obedience, his command crews circling him in perfect formation. He reviewed the footage recovered from a downed scout drone. It wasn't combat. It wasn't sabotage. It was something else. The footage showed a Vexori squad entering a corridor inside the human structure. The lights flickered once, then stabilized. As they turned the corner, the feed distorted. For exactly 6 seconds static. When it cleared, the entire squad was gone. No signs of struggle. No signs of battle. Just a child's drawing pinned to the wall, sketched in blood. A crude depiction of a Vexori ship exploding. Above it, in messy Terran script, boom. Rovak shut off the feed. Begin psychic interference sweeps. The humans may be using mind effect weapons. His first officer hesitated. Sir, that was a physical message. They're trying to infect our command structure with fear. We will not permit it. Begin planetary saturation scans. I want all biological traces mapped and flagged. Yes, Admiral. A distant alarm rang, minor at first, then escalating. A low-level systems alert from Fleet Wing Theta 7. Internal fire. Crew casualties. All ships in that wing were supposed to be stationary. Is Theta 7 under attack? Rovak barked. No, Admiral. Their own crews initiated weapon discharge. Why? The reply came cold and factual. They claimed the humans were already aboard. That they were laughing. Rovak clenched his mandibles. Impossible. The shuttles haven't even docked. It's a hallucination. Contain the crews and secure all command decks. Containment teams dispatched, Admiral. But one of the ships just self-terminated. Rovak froze. What? They activated their fusion core. Detonated. The bridge fell silent. Rovak turned to his comms officer. Open a channel to the human station. Direct line. No encryption. Connected. The screen lit up. Riker Thorne leaned casually against a rusted console, sipping from a battered metal cup like he was at a bar instead of facing extermination. Morning, Rovak. You're ahead of schedule. What did you do to my men? Me? Thorne raised an eyebrow. I just invited them in. What happens after that? That's between them and their imaginations. This is a war crime. You're violating dozens of interstellar accords. You're invading a graveyard and whining that the ghosts are impolite. Did you think you were coming for soldiers? He leaned closer. You're not fighting humans, Rovak. You're fighting what happens when humanity stops pretending it has rules. Rovak cut the transmission. He turned back to his officers. Initiate fleet-wide isolation protocol. No intership communication. Purge all foreign data. Destroy any unexplained transmissions. I want total sensory lockdown. His first officer hesitated. Sir, with respect, some captains are already ignoring protocol. They're hearing things. Some claim they received orders directly from humans embedded in their guidance systems. Rovak didn't reply. He just stared at the central holomap, now flickering with system anomalies across every quadrant. It wasn't tactical positioning anymore, it was a disease map. Begin a loyalty sweep, he said. If any ship exhibits hesitation, disengage and disable it. Yes, Admiral. Meanwhile, inside the human outpost, Thorne watched the disarray unfold with a detached sort of amusement. His crew clustered around a cracked terminal. Most of them were ex-pirates, conscripted engineers, and smugglers too stubborn to die. One of them, a woman with a metal jaw, turned to him. They've cut comms between ships. Internal lockdown. Classic panic. Good, Thorne replied. Means the voices are working. You think they'll figure it out? No. They've got logic. We've got culture. He walked toward the terminal, typed in a short command. A dozen Vexery ship systems flared to life with a synchronized audio message. A distorted human voice echoed through their command decks, speaking perfect Vexery. You're not being invaded. You're being rewritten. On obedience, the bridge lights dimmed as the message echoed across the walls. You feel it, don't you? The corrosion. The heat behind your eyes. That itch in your soul? Officers looked at each other. Several backed away from their consoles. It's just a trick, Rovak growled. It's not real. Shut it off. No one moved. Rovak grabbed the nearest console and smashed it with a hiss. Sparks flew. The sound cut. Silence. Then laughter. Real, high-pitched, unmistakably human laughter. Every screen on the bridge activated at once. A single image appeared. A Vexery Admiral's face, Rovak's face, superimposed on a human clown's body. Beneath it, a caption in Terran, "Your brain is showing." Rovak roared. Purge everything. Disable visual systems if you must. Burn the comms. I don't care. His first officer stepped back. Sir, the crew is requesting asylum. They want to board the human vessel. What? They say the madness stops when you're near it. That Thorne speaks sense. They're infected. We all are. Rovak drew his weapon. You are relieved. The officer didn't flinch. So are you. Back on the human station, Thorne finished his drink and turned to the broadcast console. He keyed in one last override. Every Vexry ship received it simultaneously. A simple message. A single sentence in every Dominion dialect. You thought we were gone. You were wrong. He leaned back and smiled. Round 2. The stars, once precise and orderly, started to flicker. Admiral Rovak stood motionless in front of the central command sphere as the lights flickered again. He didn't blink, didn't move. The silence across the bridge was suffocating. Every officer waited, hoping someone else would speak first. None did. His fleet was supposed to be a perfect machine, synchronized and superior. Instead, it was disintegrating by the hour. 10 more vessels had ceased transmitting. 4 had self-scuttled. 2 were broadcasting strange tonal patterns, combinations of human and Vexry musical codes, indecipherable and deeply unsettling. 1 cruiser had looped a visual feed of a Vexry crew laughing, until their throats split open from the effort. That loop had somehow overridden standard Dominion emergency protocols. Rovak's claws dug into the command interface. This is not warfare. This is contamination. His second officer answered in a low voice. Sir, our tactical AI just requested permission to commit suicide. He turned. Explain. It says its internal logic systems are compromised. It's detected empathy. Rovak stared. Purge it. Factory reset. We've tried. It refuses to comply. Rovak said nothing for a long moment. Then, without emotion, disconnect the core. Sever all lines. Burn the housing. The officer nodded and walked away. Another screen lit up. A new message. 5 words. Terran script. We're not here to win. The message was followed by a laugh. Not maniacal. Not angry. Just amused. Like someone hearing a joke the Vexry hadn't learned to tell. Rovak opened a private channel to what remained of his command fleet. This is the Admiral. Effective immediately, all units are to shut down non-essential systems. No outgoing transmissions. Reboot from isolated backups. Suspend operations until contact with enemy is re-established. We are not retreating. We are recalibrating. The response from his captains was immediate and unanimous. They refused. Rovak blinked. Repeat that. One voice came through. Commander Tilvak, a decorated war leader from the frontline campaigns. Sir, respectfully, your orders are now suspect. There's a pattern in your speech. A rhythm. We believe you've been compromised. Rovak's voice dropped into a dangerous calm. Do you even understand what you're saying? Yes, Tilvak replied. We're saying the humans infected you, and now you're speaking their madness like it's your own. The channel cut off. Rovak turned to his communications officer. Trace that ship? Lock weapons. The officer hesitated. Sir, that was us. Rovak looked around. Every eye on the bridge avoided his. The deck beneath him suddenly felt a fraction colder. Meanwhile, back on the human station, Riker Thorne stretched like a man finishing a nap, not orchestrating psychological annihilation. He turned to his crew, smiling. Status? His tech grinned. They're starting to doubt themselves. First mutinies are already in progress. We just watched one destroy its own engines because it suspected the drive core was thinking human thoughts. Good, Thorne replied. Stage 3. Another signal activated. This one was different. Not noise. Not screams. Just silence. Broadcast silence. An audio feed from a space station that didn't exist, playing nothing. But when fed through Vexry comm systems, it tripped subconscious triggers, patterns reverse-engineered from Dominion propaganda. What's that supposed to do? One of Thorne's mercs asked. Make them remember, he said. Everything they ever tried to forget. The Vexry were bred for obedience, but history had been rewritten so many times even they had forgotten the rebellions. The purges. The songs that once carried their names before they became numbers. Humanity hadn't destroyed them. They'd destroyed themselves. All Riker had to do was hold up the mirror. Back on obedience, Rovak clutched the side of the console. He saw something. Just for a second. In the reflection. A man, human, standing behind him. Laughing. Then gone. It couldn't be real. He hadn't slept in over a cycle. He didn't trust his eyes. He pressed the internal comm. Engineering, respond. Nothing. Security, confirm my location. Silence. He checked the screen. No status updates. No responses. He looked around. His bridge officers weren't there. The chairs were empty. The lights dimmed. The floor creaked like old wood, though it was metal. Then a whisper behind him. Human. Familiar. You know what comes after the war, Admiral? He spun. No one. Just his own shadow, stretched longer than it should have been. The comm crackled again. We're not fighting you. We're freeing you. That was Thorne's voice. Thorne, Rovak growled. You're bluffing. All of this. It's digital illusion. Psychological theater. It ends when I burn your outpost. There was no answer. He repeated louder. You hear me, human? You're still just a man behind a broken wall. This time, Thorne replied. Calm. Amused. You keep saying just a man. Maybe that's why you lost. Rovak slammed his hand into the console, triggering fleet-wide fire orders. But the system denied his command. You are not authorized. He tried again. Access denied. Error. Linguistic corruption detected. Linguistic corruption? He shouted to the bridge. Override this, now! No answer. The bridge was empty. He hadn't noticed when they left. Or if they'd ever been there. He looked back to the console. It now displayed a countdown. 13 seconds. No context. No explanation. Then, above the numbers, in human lettering. You thought this was the war? The countdown ended. All across the Vexery fleet, every screen lit up with the child's face. Smiling. Human. Blinking slowly. Then whispering. Time's up. A new signal burst through the Dominion's network. Raw, unfiltered, ancient human music. Drums. Voices. Harmony. Disorder. Memory. Entire command ships shut down their weapons. Others opened docking ports to nowhere. One cruiser reversed course and jumped into deep space without coordinates. Thorne watched it all from his station. They're not losing, he said to no one in particular. They're unraveling. Someone behind him asked. What if they try to surrender? Thorne didn't look up. This isn't surrender. This is what comes before collapse. The galaxy blinked, and for the first time in generations, the Dominion lost signal. Admiral Rovak gripped the edge of his command platform, eyes locked on the slow bleed of ships vanishing from the tactical map. Another 20 gone. Not destroyed, just dark. Silent. Cut off, like someone had switched off the stars around them. He tried again to issue a command, but the interface rejected his authority. No override. No security bypass. No command chain left. He wasn't in control. He was barely in the loop. He turned to what remained of his bridge crew. 4 officers. All silent. One stared at the wall. One refused to meet his gaze. One kept repeating the same phrase. We are not alone in our thoughts. We are not alone in our thoughts. Rovak had to act. Bring me a boarding team, he said. I'm going in myself. No one moved. Now. A pause. Then the security chief stepped forward, face pale. Sir? There are no teams left. Rovak's eyes narrowed. What do you mean? Everyone who entered that structure never came back. The rest refused to go. They say the infection isn't physical. They say it starts the moment you hear him speak. Rovak exhaled once, sharp and short. Then I won't listen. Prepare the shuttle. I'll end this myself. The hangar was empty when he arrived. No technicians, no officers. Just an echoing bay and a single shuttle waiting like a coffin. He boarded alone. As he crossed the threshold of the human station, his helmet filtered every audio feed, screened every signal. He didn't care. He wasn't here to observe. He was here to kill. No more whispers. No more games. This would be silence and fire. He moved through the first corridor, weapon drawn. The lights flickered, once, then again, but he ignored it. Human architecture always looked like it was on the edge of failure. He passed rooms filled with junk, ancient tech, broken displays. Nothing strategic. Nothing tactical. Then he reached the core. And found Riker Thorne waiting. The man sat on a steel crate, holding a mug in one hand, a small transmitter in the other. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. And still, he smiled. Rovak aimed his weapon. End this now. You came alone, Thorne said without moving. I don't need help to kill a man. You needed help not to end up here in the first place. Rovak fired. The blast hit Thorne square in the chest, and passed through him. The body shimmered, distorted, vanished. A recording. Behind him, a door creaked open. Rovak turned fast, weapon raised. Thorne stood there. The real one. Covered in dust, eyes tired, but very much alive. You really thought I'd wait in the open? He asked. You think I wanted to fight you? Rovak didn't lower the gun. You've killed thousands of my crew. I haven't touched them, Thorne said. You did. You just needed a reason. Rovak stepped forward. You're proud of this? Corrupting minds? Destroying the chain of command? You invaded my home. And I showed you a mirror. You infected us with your madness. I reminded you of what you buried, Thorne said. That's not madness. That's memory. Rovak pulled the trigger. The plasma bolt struck Thorne's shoulder, forcing him back. But he didn't scream. He didn't fall. He laughed. That's it? That's all you've got? Rovak approached slowly, gun still hot. You've lost. You just don't know it yet. Thorne coughed blood onto the floor and smiled. You think I care about this place? About winning? You said it yourself, you're not here to win. I'm here, Thorne said, voice low. To change the ending? Rovak's calm sparked to life. His personal channel, no one else had access. It was his voice. From a past recording. Screaming. Followed by static. Then a whisper. You already lost. Rovak dropped the comm, swung his weapon back up, but the room was empty. No Thorne. Just the sound of footsteps behind him. He spun again. Nothing. The door slammed shut. His gun flickered, its power cell drained. The lights dimmed. Thorne's voice returned, echoing from the vents. You brought order. I brought the truth. And they couldn't survive it. Rovak pressed a hand to the wall, felt the metal pulse like a heartbeat. This station, Thorne continued, wasn't built for defense. It was built to be watched. It's a theater. You've been the star all along. Why? Rovak growled into the air. Why do all this? Because sometimes the only way to kill an empire is to let it see itself. The room went black. When Rovak opened his eyes, he was back on the bridge of obedience. No memory of returning. His crew surrounded him again, faces unreadable. He tried to speak, but no sound came out. One of his officers approached. Sir? We've received word from the council. They demand your report. He opened his mouth. Still no words. The officer placed the device in his hand. A date pad. One message displayed across the screen. We brought a fleet. He brought a funeral. The officer whispered. What happened down there? Rovak's voice, hollow and distant, finally returned. We outnumbered them 100 to 1. He looked out across his ruined fleet. It didn't matter. The Dominion Council chamber was silent. 12 elders sat in a perfect ring beneath the flickering glow of the galactic map. Each bore the crest of a system conquered, a language erased. Their skin shimmered in polished, cold blues. Before them, Admiral Rovac stood still as a statue. He hadn't spoken since the transmission ended. Since his fleet fell to disorder, madness, and silence. Since Riker Thorne's voice echoed across every channel in the Dominion. The last human, by their measure, had broken them without firing a warhead. One elder finally spoke. "Admiral, report. What tactical errors led to your failure?" Rovac didn't raise his head. "We reviewed your logs," said another. "You had numerical superiority. Advanced technology. You encountered a remnant. One man. And yet you lost cohesion, command, and structure. We demand to understand how." Rovac's fingers twitched. "He didn't fight like us. That is not a report. He didn't fight at all. Not with weapons. Not with fleet maneuvers. He fought with something we stopped recognizing." The room murmured. A third elder leaned forward. "What are you implying, Admiral?" Rovac's voice was hoarse. "We believed them extinct. What they became was something else. Something worse." Another elder scoffed. "You allowed a cultural infection to penetrate your command. Explain that failure." Rovac slowly raised his eyes. "He didn't infect us. He made us see what we are. What we've always been. He just used our own truths against us." The council shifted uncomfortably. One elder asked, "Was he alone?" Rovac nodded. "Yes. Alone. With no army. No fleet. Just words. Symbols. History. This was psychological warfare." "No," Rovac said. "It was retribution." Another voice broke through. A new signal, hijacking the chamber's systems. Every screen flickered. The security staff reacted, but the override was absolute. A broadcast played. Thorne appeared on screen, bloodstained, eyes alive with exhaustion and satisfaction. "Hello, Council." The guards froze. "You taught us order. You taught us discipline. You showed us what fear looks like behind protocol. But you made one mistake." The room watched in still silence. "You thought chaos was our weakness. But it was never weakness. It was the fire you never understood." Thorne leaned forward. "You wanted to erase us. You should have erased everything we ever were. Because now we remember." The feed cut. A final line of text remained on every screen. "We're not the ashes. We're the match." Then black. No sound. No light. Only Rovac, breathing like a man pulled from drowning. The eldest counselor turned to him. "Was that a threat?" Rovac laughed. Dry. Hollow. "That was a memorial. We will respond." "No," Rovac said. "You'll react? And then you'll fall. You dishonor this chamber." "I watched officers kill themselves because they believed their own thoughts weren't theirs anymore. I watched captains shut down their ships to escape their own minds. I watched veterans recite childhood songs from a species they never met." The room grew cold. "What is your final assessment?" Rovac straightened. "He weaponized our ignorance. He didn't win a battle. He rewrote the language of war." Silence. Then the senior elder whispered, "And your conclusion?" Rovac stared them down. "We outnumbered them 100-1. The words landed like a blade through air. "And it didn't matter." The chamber dimmed. Outside the window, the Dominion core sector pulsed, orderly, quiet, pristine. But beyond it, in the fractures of space, signals were spreading. Symbols. Stories. Glimpses of a flame reigniting in the dark. Humanity had never needed numbers. They only needed someone to remember.